Hello, hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is just first of all, brace yourself. If you've been eating and nobody can see you, great, focus, because this is going to be a webinar. Unlike most webinars where you don't feel like you're in the room, this one you'll actually feel like you're being part of us. So how are you and welcome? I'll give you maybe 1 or 2 minutes just to get everything together. First, just go out of the screen, share the link as much as possible. I don't know where you're watching us from because we're on YouTube, Mary Stops Uganda. We're on Facebook, and we're also on this Zoom link if you're watching us. So you've probably seen the topic and saying safe motherhood. Some of you probably came because of Dr. Carol. Others said because of Dr. Andrew Chakura. I will log in, not a problem. Others said, oh, who's that host? We've never seen her. We'll also come because of her. It's fine. Or because you came for a brand that has been here 30 years, giving you the best in sexual and reproductive health, and also what is key for us ladies, family planning. But also the reason we have a man on this panel, such conversations should not be only one-sided. So gear up. Every question you have about safe motherhood, it could even be, what is that? Is there such a thing as safe motherhood? It's okay. Ask as many questions. So if you're on the webinar, I can already see the comments are coming through. That same space, use it to actually ask as many questions as possible. If you're on Facebook as well, we've got a team that will be helping me bring any pertinent questions. If you're on YouTube as well, anywhere you can leave a question, please leave it. And they'll be coming to me as we go on. First, listen. We might answer some of these things within the course of the conversation. So, yeah, those were the 1 or 2 minutes. I think you're ready now, right? Welcome to it, the conversation on safe motherhood. Mary Stops Uganda is making this happen and giving us a platform to enjoy and to talk about these things openly, because also if we don't, when will we get solutions? My name is Flavia Tumusime Kabura, and I'm going to be your host. I'm just a bridge between you and the conversations here at Mary Stops. Speaking of here, we're officially launching the Mary Stops Uganda Hospital tomorrow. I'm excited. We thought we'd come a day before, talk about the pertinent things, just to get you geared up for tomorrow's official launch. If you're saying, wait, but they were open, I was here the other day. Yes, we've been open, a soft launch just to have you come in. And, it's not the first. We've been doing this for so many years. There are clinics near you, and you're saying, I've seen Mary Stops before. That's a sign I've seen for years and years. But this time they thought, there's some people who want a certain quality of care, who want to ask questions in a certain environment, who want to and can afford certain care. So why not be able to serve the entire community at all levels? And that's why Mary Stops Uganda put this particular hospital there. It's just at Lugo, and I'm helping Ugandans. So they're on Lugogo Bypass. If you know where Forest Mall is, just right there. Very easily accessible, and you can come here for anything. If you say, but can I have my child there? Yes, an entire process. Speaking of that, safe motherhood. To join me for this conversation, you've probably seen them on the posters. This one is a country director for Mary Stops, and it's not my first time meeting her, which means she's very good at what Mary Stops does. They're on her fingertips. She will tell you, she will drive this conversation. By the time you leave here, you will know. Dr. Carol Sechinpi, how are you and welcome? Oh, we forgot to... There you go.
Thank you, Flavia.
Yes.
Well, it's nice to see you.
Good to see you. Looking fabulous. I almost said, are we launching the hospital today? Tomorrow. On the other side, we have Dr. Andrew Chakura. You are actually lead gynecologist here. Gynecologists, in my experience, never say many things. But today we're going to try and get you to speak on what safe motherhood is. Welcome to this conversation. So for those who put in earlier the question saying, but when you say safe motherhood, is that a safe delivery? Is it a safe pregnancy? Also, what is safe? Are we saying that we can leave this to certain people? Is it doctors' hands, God's hands, whose hands? What is safe? So I'm going to, before I give my opinion, I'm a mom, Dr. Kara is a mom, Dr. Chakura soon to be a parent, but because of his job, he has been an extended parent, I guess, in many ways. We'll let Dr. Carol please open the conversation on what you believe safe motherhood is. And I think you can speak from two ends. One, as a woman, what you believe safe motherhood is, and then, of course, as an expert in the field of actually providing safe motherhood. Yes.
Thank you, Flavia. Safe motherhood is really about ensuring the best possible outcome for women and their children through the process of pregnancy and childbirth. And what success looks like is that a woman gets pregnant, goes through the 9 months, has a baby, and they go home happy and live happily ever after, really. That's what success looks like. But, whereas this is what we'd like to see, it's not always the case. For many of us, the journey for pregnancy is a walk into the unknown. That's why in my local language, actually, and I never figured this out as a young girl, but after you had a baby, they say, kuliko omwana. And you're like, because you don't realize what dangers they are. But over the years, our cultures have coined that term because they appreciate that it's generally a journey into the unknown. And there are inequalities depending on where you are, whether you're in Kampala or you're outside, up country or in other countries. The more developed countries have generally overcome the barriers to access to safe motherhood because every woman has access to expert care during pregnancy and through childbirth. For us as a country, we've made significant progress, but there's still work to be done. Really put in numbers, here in Uganda, every day we lose 14 to 15 women giving birth, or to complications related to giving birth.
And just to be clear, she said every day.
Every day, ekamunye. A taxi, think of a taxi packed with women, and it crashes. One crashes every day. So that's why, whereas we don't see this in front of our eyes every day, it is happening around us, and it's critical for us to put aside time to celebrate safe motherhood and get the message out there and keep advocating for everyone to make their contribution towards ensuring that when women are pregnant, it's a time of joy, it's a time of expectation, and the outcome should be as anticipated.
Dr. Chakura, I remember when I was, and I can always share bits of my story in regard to safe motherhood, but I was the one, those patients, they say it's God, the doctor says now it's good, it's not me, I'm not here. And sometimes I think as patients, we're women, we're going to give birth, we put all the trust in a doctor, but I wonder what goes through your mind. You're thinking, it's safe motherhood, yes, but there's a thin line sometimes on what I can and cannot do.
Yeah. Okay. As Dr. Kara said, safe motherhood is a journey, and as we deal with the mothers, we are also under tension sometimes, but we know that for any good outcome, if we take good care of the mother during her antenatal period, during that most crucial time of labor and childbirth, and that immediate time after delivery, we always get good outcomes. The problem only comes if there are delays in maybe deciding to come to the facility by the mother or this sick child, or if there are delays in accessing the facility, challenges of transport and related issues, or if there are delays at facility level in instituting appropriate interventions.
So I think you were saying that safe motherhood is when we have a good outcome, right? Which is the baby is here, mother is still here, and they're both okay. I've always wondered what that okay is, especially for after. Let's talk about the after, doctor. You've said it's important right after. The baby is here and everybody sort of moves on. What is the space of right after? What is that window we're looking at to still consider our eyes all fully on both the mother and the child?
Okay, broadly speaking, the first week after delivery, but the most crucial period is the first 24 hours. That's when most of the complications come to the mother, the baby. Actually, about 30% of the babies will die within the first 24 hours. They actually say on the day of birth. Then the other about 70% will extend up to 7 days after delivery. Likewise for the mother, most of the issues will come around the time immediately after delivery. bleeding will set in, which is the greatest killer. Then also sometimes others, the high blood pressure in pregnancy also gets detected also around that point, what we call commonly eclampsia. So that time is very crucial.
Dr. Carey, you're providing a service, ideally. You're saying if we can do our part to make sure that safe motherhood happens in that form that you've explained is there. But before that, just to explain to everybody, we're having this conversation because tomorrow is officially, Safe Motherhood Day. But I think the celebrations here in Uganda might have been pushed to 20-something. But either way, we're going to be celebrating it. So we're coming a day early to make sure this conversation starts and we spark that and get the ball rolling. I remember it was my first pregnancy. I didn't really know what to expect, And one thing I was told is, don't overcall the doctor. Women, your first pregnancy, you panic at everything. But isn't that the point, Dr. Carol? Shouldn't I panic at everything? Because I might miss something, right? So when we're discussing what can be done to improve or to lead to safe motherhood, let's talk first from now the mother or the mother-to-be. Then you'll speak also as a service provider, what you believe is, what are the loopholes, what is lacking that we can really just streamline?
Thank you, Flavia. So I keep saying this, and I don't think I'm the originator of this term, but family planning is to a woman as immunization is to a child. If a pregnancy is planned, you will know that in 2022, I'm going to have a baby. So you have time to consult with your gynae, to plan, to make sure everything is okay. So when the pregnancy eventually happens, you are set. So you'll probably not be panicking if you planned. But let's say you didn't plan and it just happened. This is why of late WHO has upped the game and Ministry of Health has adopted that as well. They recommend 8 antenatal visits. So literally you're visiting the hospital once every month. And the point is to create that relationship between your provider and yourself to open up the communication lines. I think providers are human beings. They could get overwhelmed by phone calls, but that's why at STOPES we put in technology to help. We have a contact center that is dedicated to taking and receiving your calls. We have a WhatsApp line, and when we pick up red flags, then we can escalate to the provider to give you like a specific call or call you in for an appointment. So for me, I think the conversation on safe motherhood really begins with planning and planning and then information, so that, babies don't just happen.
Imagine, I don't think any of us had anticipated that would be where she would start. That please plan for these children, she knows that things happen. Even in marriage, sometimes there's an oops baby.
Yes.
Oops on one person's end, of course. Yes. But it happens. Yeah. But listening to you, and I was thinking, there are people who, even with the 8 recommended times to visit the antenatal, they're but I had my first child. I know how this works. I don't need to. You were supposed to do that on your first baby. That myth actually exists. There are women even here in the city who believe you do antenatal on your first baby, but once you know what to do on the second, you don't have to. Speak to those ones also.
And actually, those are the real problem. I think Dr. Chakra will agree with me that, as parity increases, the number of babies you have increase, you're also growing, and so are your risks. But then these are also the busy ones, the ones who feel like they know, they don't show up the way they should show up for their ANCs. So there's no, in medicine we say there's no simple procedure. There's nothing that is simple. You have to do your due diligence for every pregnancy. You have to make that contact. And that's why we're evolving and trying to create flexibility. You can come in the evening. You can book an appointment. You can be here on Saturday. You can be here on Sunday. We have a separate space for ANC so that because we appreciate the things that women have to juggle. Work, I step out of the bank to go for ANC. I don't want to wait for hours. Yes, so, we try to create those spaces, but there's no, pregnancies are beautiful things, but you cannot take any for granted. And really, the more the number of pregnancies you've had, your risks grow in the same direction. So, if you are on baby number 7, you need to be visiting the hospital, and you need to be texting your provider more frequently. Yeah. And also, baby number 1 is very risky because there are many unknowns. You've never been assessed, what your capacities are and your inherent risks as well. So, overall, it is to follow the advice and not take. We have one life. You cannot take it for granted.
As you think, because I want you to comment on, I've heard you hint on it and say we create this space, you can call at this point, you can show up at this point, why it was very important for Mary Stops to create an environment where you actually offset this safe motherhood discussion. But Dr. Chakura, she's mentioned something which is real. The more we go into having as many children, the more risks that we have. And you also mentioned, I think, environment. You know, you said even where we are, I think you said that even being in this country with certain resources available or not available also puts us in a certain positions. Are there risks every woman should just have at the back of her mind? I'm not saying it will happen to me or to Dr. Caro, but are there things we should think about, especially those who even now are watching but still taking, you know, the safe motherhood as something like light. I've gone through it, my mother has gone through it, the other women, it's nothing. Someone who's thinking of that, talk to that woman.
Thank you, Flavia. I want to begin by saying that every pregnancy carries a risk. So whether it's a first pregnancy or second, third, it carries a risk. Of course, the risk is greater as the number of pregnancies increase, more than 4 onwards. But the key thing is that for every pregnancy, the mothers should seek antenatal care as early as they realize that they are pregnant from a qualified healthcare provider. As we said, monthly, at least 8 contacts through the pregnancy. And during that, of course, we do risk assessment. And there are some of the danger signs that we have communicated to mothers during antenatal classes. Things like bleeding during pregnancy, issues like headache, severe headache during pregnancy, body swelling like lower limb swelling, excessive weight gain during pregnancy, and also like mothers who have had previous, say, cesarean deliveries, mothers who are delivering for the first time, mothers with higher order pregnancies, twins, multiple, and all those. So all those are issues that should cause mothers to be constantly in contact with the service provider.
You mentioned the weight. I actually did not know that was a real problem until I got pregnant, and my doctor insisted we need to stay within a certain weight range for you to be able to carry this pregnancy safely to term. And I was like, how is my weight a problem, doctor? Maybe someone may be naively asking the same question. What would you say?
About, yes, throughout pregnancy, the expected weight gain is about 10 to 12 kilograms by term. But if someone gains weight excessive, more than 10%
because,
of the...
Doctor, there's a chance I have all that 10 by 3 months pregnant or 4 months. And these things happen, doctor.
Yes, that's why I was saying that this weight gain is through pregnancy. But if it's, say, 10, 12 kilograms in 3 months, that's excessive. Such a mother would need more evaluation. These days we have gestational diabetes, new onset of diabetes or high blood sugar during pregnancy. So that's why with early antenatal care, the screening is usually done, and this is detected and managed early so that you don't proceed in that direction.
Wow, okay. So now Mary Stops being a provider of all of these services. You also have the responsibility to make sure that you know, as you provide safe alternatives to they have to be safe in the first place. They have to be affordable. They have to be of quality. All of these things in one. Is this an easy fit, really?
It's not an easy fit because it is costly to deliver quality healthcare.
You're too honest at the beginning of this.
No, it is costly to deliver quality healthcare. I just want to quickly reference the conversation that was going around during COVID, when we had the COVID wave, and there was an outcry that private health facilities were overcharging.
Yes.
And then we got a communication from the Ministry of Health actually confirming that they were spending an average of 3 million shillings looking after someone in ICU in a government health facility. So what we have to know is someone has to pay for it. Whether you're paying from your pocket or it's an insurance company or it's a donor, somebody has to pay for it. And safe motherhood requires investment, therefore. So, beyond just providing services is advocacy to make sure that, these resources are availed, whether it's through insurance, whether it's through, out-of-pocket payments. Someone really does have to pay for it. And when you start to compromise on what you pay, then you begin to compromise on quality.
I'm like, but why isn't this price? Then it goes back to you as well. You'll give me a certain quality
exactly
if I pay a certain price.
Yes, but also to realign the conversation, so that for us as Marriage Stops, we're not a profit-making agency. So what we aim for is cost recovery. So we just recover the cost of delivering the service so that we can deliver the service to the next person. So when you do a benchmarking, you'll find we come in a little below the average profit-making entity because our aim is simply impact. We are not in the profit-making business.
That's very clear. I wanted to go back to the causes because I think I saw someone saying that there's a question on the unexpected. So you've mentioned things that, like blood pressure, and somebody, I've had that countless times pregnant, but then there are people who get pregnant and go through this, and even the doctors are left wondering, this is an anomaly, this is not the usual, I think that's the right thing to say. Such cases that you've probably heard of, and somebody might be important for someone to see, oh, these are the things that could happen, that are anomalies, that are not the usual, Dr. Andrew, things that you don't normally see when women come to you. Talk to us about those. That happen once, 1 out of 10 mothers, maybe only 2 will experience it. Because I had pretty much the same thing. Even my doctor did not know what to do with me. Actually, I'll talk to you about directly my effort. For example, stress. Stress can cause certain things to happen to a woman who's pregnant that you wouldn't normally see or diagnose generally. Are you handling such things when women come to you?
Yes. Okay. Through pregnancy, there are issues of, first of all, even accepting the pregnancy.
What?
Then, yes, we have had interactions with mothers, and we notice that there are issues with lack of information. Then the second thing is, it might be usual to everyone, but unusual to the mothers, just the normal physical changes that occur in pregnancy. Yeah, they are quite a cause of worry, anxiety to the mothers, even from simple basic things like skin changes, things like maybe even breast enlargement, among others. So, yeah, those are the issues.
So you're saying things that happen to our bodies, and it's a shock because you've not been living the same body that way, and that causes stress. But how do you help someone like that, though? This is what prenatal stress, right? Prenatal depression. How do you deal with that, though? Because yours is to bring the child into the world safely and help me after that. Would you handle that in the instrumental or
Yes. As Dr. Carroll said, usually the ideal would be prenatal care, where we first of all have a discussion between the couple that is planning to have a baby, and also initially take them through counseling, screen them for any condition, maybe infections and other conditions, and also prepare them psychologically so that as the pregnancy comes, they know what to expect and prepare for it, so that as they experience issues, they know that these are part of the changes. And this is the kind of discussion that I have on a daily basis. Mothers call, oh, I've seen this, is it normal? I feel ulcers, is it normal? So this earlier preparation is important, and also the consistent contact and provision of the relevant information during the pregnancy is also crucial. Even what to expect when the other time comes, labor and delivery.
Nutrition is also important, isn't it?
Yes.
Nutrition can also be part of safe motherhood, right? So when we talked about affordability, I remember that one thing you were saying. You were saying that some women can say that because I can't afford a certain lifestyle, I'm not able to afford to carry a good pregnancy because I'm not able to afford a certain lifestyle. Does it really matter?
No, Uganda as a country, we are blessed that most of the locally available foods have all the nutritional constraints that is required in pregnancy. All we say is have a balanced diet.
So that question of whether you can afford to eat good for your pregnancy is not a question in this country, especially.
Yeah. Too good that makes you unhealthy. Yeah.
COVID-19, I gave birth during literally, I think, the second month of full lockdown. And the fear, you're thinking, okay, is everybody safe? Who's touching this? Who's touching that? Why are you here? Why are you next to me? But, a life has to come to the world. And the same way it has been coming into the world. So doctors and nurses have to be present. Everybody has to be present. You can't say only one. The same process to bring the child has to be there. And I went through an emergency C-section. So I witnessed what that was for the first time under COVID-19. It was a lot for me. But now for those women who are coming into this, they're pregnant, they're going to give birth. You've also dealt with a lot of pregnant women who've given birth this past year. What has changed? What has changed in the process, if any?
Okay, to start with, provision of maternal and newborn health services have to continue even in the COVID times. Yeah, maybe what has changed is one is issues of sticking to the SOPs, things like encouraging all mothers to have on a face mask, issues like sanitizing, social distancing are critical. Then on our side as service providers, general, of course, ongoing provision of the relevant information. Then as part of our antenatal care or as part of our interaction, screening for those that may have symptoms or those that are at risk, and where relevant, encouraging them to take on a test if maybe they have symptoms suspicious. Contentious area or the other area is about vaccination, COVID-19, vaccination in pregnancy. Is it safe? Is it not safe? The key thing is that we know that vaccination generally helps prevent us from getting severe forms of COVID-19, and even during pregnancy, we encourage that mothers should still take on the vaccine because we know that the risks, the benefits of taking the vaccine far much outweigh the risks of not taking it. Yeah, even for those that are intending to have children, I shouldn't take on the vaccine.
I actually know someone who told me, she said, don't you intend to have more children? I said, why would you get vaccinated? So these are things that are flying around. So it gives it more push if you, a doctor, come out and say it's actually okay. So even someone who has not had a child at all can still get vaccinated and they'll still have chances of having a child. You said keep a face mask on. Delivery time.
Not delivery. We are talking of antenatal. Of course, in delivery time there is space. She has all the space.
I was about to doubt that one.
Yeah.
But yes. So you do say it's fine. At whatever stage of pregnancy I come in, I can't get the vaccine, and you're saying it's okay.
Yes.
The benefits you're saying far outweigh. But we also, I know 2 women who were able to deliver with COVID-19, even with the fight, even with the struggle. So I guess what you're saying is that hospital care is important. So be within the confines of hospital, which means access to hospitals.
COVID is changing. It's an evolving
Yes.
subject, and we're all learning as we go. The first wave was quite mild. It went for the elderly, and most of us thought we're young and safe. But the second wave was quite surprising, and it really did attack pregnant women, especially those who are far gone. So perhaps Dr. Chakura will tell you more about what they're doing for the pregnant women and the risks therein. But if you're pregnant and we're having an active wave of COVID, that is the time to get close to your medical provider and to watch out for the symptoms. If you can get vaccinated, because there's extra risk. There's another level of risk that is upon a mother just because they're pregnant and they're having COVID as well.
Yeah, so yeah, she has said it all. But in case she has COVID, especially as symptomatic, the best is to be as close as possible to the service provider. And usually in such, we usually do what we call multidisciplinary management, where okay, you involve the obstetrician gynecologist to take care of the mother and the baby, but also involve other doctors, the anesthesiologists, the physicians, then even people to help provide psychosocial support, because we know mental health issues also in COVID times are issues that sometimes are undermined or overlooked, but those are issues that also need to be addressed.
I like that. And one of the things when I first inquired about services here at Mary Stops, I love that I was told that they really do keep checking in. Eh? It's almost like that, are you sure you're fine? Nudge, which is very important. Is this something you guys saw ahead of time, or with the experience of being in the market for this many years? Or is it because of the pandemic where you said, oh, you know what, there might be more support needed just to check in on these mothers?
Well, I think for us, it stems from our area of work, because we're in sexual and reproductive health. It is a personal subject. It is a private subject. It's a delicate conversation. So we base our service provision on what we call client-centered care. So all of our models, and regardless whether you're having a baby or you've come for family planning or any other service, you find our models of service delivery are client-centered. So you get the same care, and you get our service providers checking in to make sure you're okay. And even if they don't, let's say there's a long line and they're not necessarily checking in to say, Flavia, how are you? Probably as you leave, we'll give you an opportunity to give us feedback. And we'll collect that feedback and analyze it and try to follow up. We take your contacts, and through our contact center, we'll check on you. So the whole point is client-centered care. And it's really about giving clients, you see, it is one thing, and this is a risk that medics, take a lot. It is one thing to speak a lot of English, medicine, and provide a service and go away feeling like, yeah, I fixed her, as opposed to the client perception of the quality of service. So we want to cater to both ends. Dr. Anwar and I want to speak our English and make sure we have fixed you, but want to make sure that the client themselves perceives that they have been given a service that is complete and really does address their needs.
And also, information is key, right? So you might say all of these things, but if as a patient I don't understand these things, and especially when you're pregnant, you need to understand everything, because these things are happening to you. Speaking of happening to you, there's a group of us who have read many books, seen many blackboards, and these days it's seen many iPads, who believe that when it comes to pregnancy and giving birth, I'll make a lot of the decisions. And I'm going to just say it as it is. There are women who will, it's elective, is it elective C-section? And if you ask me, it's a good thing. But if you ask the next person, they're like, you want to die? And by the next person, I mean people like my mother, who will say, why would a woman choose to kill herself every single, pregnancy? But isn't safe motherhood also saying choice for some women? Am I wrong or right? Because again, he's the doctor here, and he could tell us whether this choice that we make sometimes may not be necessary to make. Speak freely, Dr. Chakura.
Yes, thank you, Flavia. I know it's choice to some extent. When you talk about choice to have children, choice of when to have them, and when to stop, when it comes to the interventions, as we said, it's a journey that we walk with you. And through antenatal, we are having enough time and interface to discuss, tell you about the pregnancy. Through the time of delivery. When it comes to mode of delivery, usually we are guided by scientific evidence, and there are those who we think can go on and deliver normally, and there are those with maybe who we also recommend to deliver by cesarean section. Probably they have had indications for that, a reason why we are doing that. And we always recommend cesarean section where I know that maybe vaginal delivery is not safe for the mother and the baby. But the overall key thing in provision of these services is that we also address the experience of care of this mother, like by ensuring communication throughout pregnancy and also throughout even during labor and delivery, both to the mother, to the family, entirely, so that at least when it comes to decision making, everything is straightforward, as opposed to silent throughout. Then they say, now you deliver normally, you deliver through Caesar. But if you discuss and say, what are the risks of a normal delivery, what are the risks of a cesarean section, then that gives them an informed decision, even to make the choice.
So what I hear you say is that it's okay for you to make that choice if it comes from the fact that you are informed about the risks of either, right?
No.
Okay.
What I mean is that when it comes to mode of delivery, it's good to be assessed by your service provider,
Right.
and based on the assessment, to take on the option. If the assessment says that you're for vaginal delivery,
Yes.
it's better to go by that. If it is for cesarean delivery, it's also better to go by that. Of course, we also have a category that refuses the cesarean delivery. They say, I want to try.
Exactly. I will insist on this is what I do. All our women in our family give birth this way. So even that, you're saying that if your doctor is advising for a C-section, it's best, actually, generally you're saying it's best to listen to your doctor.
Information, so that, because
You
many
know
of these
why.
requests are not informed,
Yes.
or they're
Yes.
informed by Google.
Oh, so you're trying, okay.
So
I feel attacked.
most of these requests are informed by Google.
Yes.
But when we walk this journey with you, and it's okay, you want a cesarean section. Why? It is very painful. They say, but we have pain management options. We could give you an epidural. This is how it works. But there's an injection on the back, but also in Caesar, it's there. So we give you this information and move you along the journey to make an informed choice.
Yeah.
But for us, the information we're giving you is going to be guided by science. And many people don't have a good appreciation of what it means to go for a cesarean section until you're on that table. You know, it's not necessarily a shortcut. It is not. So we provide that information and help the mother to make an informed decision. But ultimately, what we're working towards is the most optimal outcome for both the mother and the baby. And as Dr. Andrew said, sometimes they refuse. And we have.
I don't want.
Yes, they refuse to take any advice. They say Google said.
Forget even Google. Our friends. My friend has 4 children. So
Yes.
she knows more than.
So we do our best to counsel, and we have procedures to follow when we disagree. It's very rare that we disagree because we provide full information.
So you never disagree with the patient.
I didn't say we never, but it's rare.
It's rare.
It's rare.
You know, I'll and I guess which is why I'm here, just to be giving an honest, raw aspect to it. So for me, and I guess I really want Dr. Andrew, you to, it's a part of safe motherhood. To be a parent, there are 2 people involved in this thing. Let's be honest. Let's not eliminate one person and leave this, not a burden, the responsibility to one. But I remember when I didn't really know what I wanted. Despite all the information from Google and the doctors, I didn't actually know whether I wanted to have a vaginal birth or a C-section or whatever. I think pregnancy alone really throws a weight on you that sometimes even making that decision, you don't know. And I remember my husband and my doctor having a conversation, just the 2 of them, and both equally deciding it was going to be a vaginal birth. And that's how I also decided. what it was. So sometimes you know that you're hearing the information come at you, but I don't know if you're ever able to put the woman aside and, because I was in the middle of it and I wasn't able to say, by the way, actually, hold on, I don't want that. It was the two of them saying, but this is best. And because I was healthy enough at the time for that, but you see, things happen, right? So once we got to the end and we were trying, the baby's heart rate just, was going bad, which is why it was an emergency C-section. And in that moment, because I don't think anybody had decided that this might ever be plan B, I don't remember that conversation of, in case it is a C-section, this is what will happen, this is what will happen. Because I feel like these two people had already figured, you're healthy, you're normal, we'll do this. And so in a space of, how quick that goes, doctor, I don't have to explain it to you. I was confused on what was happening. Do you know what I mean? And so sometimes even us who are in the space of a lot of information, the doctor might do you agree that might neglect to actually say choices to people, yes, but what about the one carrying? Dr. We're all emotional about these things, yeah? Do you ever have that case where you feel there are a lot of voices talking and the mother might not be able to make a sane decision on what she wants? Do you believe that happens?
Yes.
It does, yeah?
Yeah, it does, but usually what we focus on is that, okay, this is client-centered, management.
So in this case, who's the client?
No, the
My
mother.
husband or me?
The mother. Okay, maybe
Sorry,
maybe they are.
I mean, well, he knows that. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I was saying that when it comes to management of a mother in labor, apart from the science, this and this and the other, there is the other aspect of it that is very crucial, and it's centered around experience of care by the mother. And the key ingredients to that is communication with the mother and the family about what is going on. Then secondly, we also encourage that during that time when you're laboring, you have a companion of your choice during labor. Sometimes it might not
What
be your
do you
husband.
mean a companion of your choice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dr. Kari says it could be your mother-in-law. Could be. Whoever I think is it whoever you're comfortable with? Is that what you're trying to
Exactly.
say? Right, right. Okay. To be honest, I think, so what do you think about the other partner? I think we're trying to hint on that.
Yes, we encourage male involvement.
Yes.
Yes.
This is not at just the delivery.
No, throughout the what? The journey, actually we say male involvement generally in reproductive health related issues.
Right.
Yeah, and we also encourage that even during that process, there should be male partner support. But on the other side, we also encourage that for you as a mother, as part of making you comfortable through that process, you should have that person that you would want to be around during that process. We have had scenarios where you have mothers-in-law, where you can't even speak to a man.
Because of who is there.
Yes.
All right.
Flavia, there's also a legal twist to this.
Okay.
So you come in for a normal delivery, maybe you are in pain, you're sweating, and all of these things, and an emergency is there and has to be done. So who's going to consent for that? And that's why very early in the process, even during ANC, we can begin to find out who's your next of kin.
Right.
Who do you trust to make a decision? Should you be indisposed or unable to decide for yourself?
Right.
You could get into a hypertensive fit and we really can't talk to you.
What happens to I went to hospital to just check up, my back hurts and then I'm giving birth?
You see? So we need to know your next of kin.
Yes.
So that we can pick which voice to talk to. And we stick to those things because they have legal implications.
Right.
So on your admission form, we will know that if Flavia cannot decide for herself, then this gentleman here is the one to do that.
Yeah. Also, I think, because for me, what you were saying, and I like how you said it, male involvement in sexual and reproductive health matters, not just pregnancy. Because I've done all the stages with my husband, including family planning method. We've had the same discussions together. We've walked to the doctors together, every procedure together. Why? Because I believe he will know the responsibility and the burden if he knows the processes. Again, it's a choice, his choice as well. So men are involved to as much as they choose to be, I guess. So there's a couple of questions for those who are watching us. I'll start with one that is a bit unofficial. Is kumenya medically approved? Someone needs to maybe explain to me what that is, or someone on the panel understands it.
I know is, well, I'm a mother of 4. So Kubenya is, they give you herbs and things to drink and put in your perineum to soften and make the exit of the baby quick. They tend to, so they have different sets of herbs for different trimesters. The first trimester they are managing hyperemesis, then I think in the middle there they are managing weight gain, then in the last trimester you begin to break, to kumenya. So that so that when the samples will become, it's easy.
Easier. Okay.
So but now Dr. Andrew will tell you the issues around kumenya.
I'm sure Dr. Andrew will say do not.
No, I'll start by saying that we do not know what is in those herbs, and we do not know the risk to the baby, the unborn baby, and to the mother. So if it's not scientifically studied, I think they are not safe. They'll only be safe if we know what we are dealing with, and just like even during a normal pregnancy, you hear us saying this medicine is not safe, the other one is not safe. What about now these ones?
You know, I remember when I was, is that what we're calling hyper?
Hyperemesis.
Yes, it's the morning sickness that is just day sickness, day and evening sickness.
Too
just
much vomiting.
Sickness. That was me till 8 months pregnant. And I remember at some point I was tired and someone offered me, so I called my doctor, I said, someone's giving me a kadomola here. He said, hey. Is it 1 times 2, 2 times 3? I said, it's not there. It's just a drink. He said, that's the problem. I don't know the dosage. I don't know the ingredients. How will I defend this?
Exactly.
So I get what you mean.
And Flavia, the other interesting thing about kumenya is that those herbs are potent. They actually work. They will speed the exit of the baby.
Well, like I said, she's quite honest.
But the critical thing is to understand why God has put it in such a way that labor takes 6 to 8 to 12 hours.
Right.
It's because God is
is that what it does? So it speeds up?
It speeds up. So the baby, instead of going through the process gently, molding their head and sliding out, they give you this thing that just pip, and baby's there, and baby's heart, and they don't score well at delivery, and your perineum is torn, and
Also
all of these
to
things.
deal with.
So it's because usually peer talk. So peers will say, I had it, and within just
All
2
my 5
hours of
children.
delivery, the baby was out. But how are your babies doing? How is their mental state, and all of those things? So it's not just about their potency, it's that it interferes with the natural process. And because from a scientific perspective, we don't know what you've taken, we cannot give you an antidote.
We don't know what to help you with.
We don't know how to help you.
So the first question here was, how do I know I am an unsafe mother? Since we're discussing safe motherhood, how do I know that I'm an unsafe mother? And then there was someone who asked, and I think this can be quickly answered, would you encourage a 6 months pregnant woman to get the COVID jab? And this is a question from our Zoom stream. 6 months pregnant, should she get the COVID jab?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that one we had sort of hinted on it really. We had discussed that at whatever stage of pregnancy, the benefits outweigh what you would see as disadvantages. So yes, 6, 7, 5 months, get the COVID jab. So, an unsafe mother?
Okay, just like I said earlier, every pregnancy carries a risk. So you shouldn't say this is unsafe, this is safe. But the key thing is that the moment you realize you're pregnant, get in touch with your service provider. But maybe we also know that there are high-risk pregnancies. As we said earlier, if someone is pregnant for the first time, someone has maybe had so many pregnancies, 5 and more, someone has had previous cesarean deliveries, someone has high blood pressure in pregnancy, or even before conceiving.
What if you've not had high blood pressure at all before and then it manifests, right? It happens sometimes.
Yes, it's also that comes during pregnancy. That's also definitely high risk. A mother who is unsafe, a mother who is bleeding through during pregnancy, that one is also high risk. But the key thing is, for all pregnancies, come for antenatal care early and keep coming monthly. until the time of delivery, at least 8 visits through pregnancy. I know most mothers will say, oh, why come? It's still too early. We have had
Yes.
such a discussion.
I'll show up at
I'm
the
waiting for it
end.
to be 4 months, 5 months. Yet there are interventions at each stage of this pregnancy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Dr. Carroll will help us to answer what you believe government is doing to improve, as key players in this, to improve safe motherhood. But also someone was asking about the extent of midwife-led care. First of all, I was quite hurt that you're quite close to your doctor, right, in the ANCs, and then you realize that once the baby is out, it's really the midwife who's your person. That was a big shock for me. But maybe you can also talk to us about midwife-led care as Mary Stopes' strength. Yes, let's start with perhaps what government is doing.
Well, first of all, for us as members of the private sector, we recognize that everything we do on behalf of government.
Yes.
Government licenses us, government regulates us, and government ensures the standards that we deliver. So for starters, they're doing all of that. As a country, we have made so much progress in terms of safe motherhood. Maternal mortality rate has gone down. And even if sometimes our statistics sound a bit scary, I think our current maternal mortality ratio of 330 is down from 423 a couple of years prior. And government has got the basics right. We have the health facilities, they're in the right places. They have midwives, even up to health center too. There are midwives there. And they are trained midwives, and they're well regulated through the Nurses Council and all of that. The guidance is there. Go for ANC 8 times. Because the biggest trick around delivery is assessment, anticipation, and timely intervention. So the information is there, it is out there. There's so many interventions that are being done. Some of them are directly through government, others are funded by donor agencies. Recently, I was talking to a friend of mine who's working in West Nile, and he was carrying a burden because while he was there doing work, he saw so many pregnant teenage girls, so many. Like, you walk into the ANC, and out of 30 women, only say 7 are above the age of 18. The rest are babies who are also planning to have babies. But there are systems to map these women. There are village health team members to identify. So the network is quite strong. And I say that, whereas we have, the likes of these establishments, not everyone can get here. But we just have to take advantage of the resources near you, and you will find support. There's a clear referral mechanism. There are incentives in the public sector for, results-based financing. So everyone is doing their best, although there's still room for improvement.
Yeah. So midwife-led care, someone says it's a strength at Mary Stopes. Okay. So it's important for me to notice that. But is that the people who really make me feel like, it's okay, the baby is fine, but someone really cares about me? I was surprised that after there are things like breastfeeding, things you didn't think are that important, but this woman is here, holding your hand and guiding you through it.
Maybe I should pass that question to Dr. Andrew because he's the doctor. Because,
And this is his team.
yes, we tend to perceive that perhaps doctors are superior to midwives but it's not a case of superiority, it is a speciality. Each one of us has special roles.
And that's a very important thing to say, because there's a lot of women who will skip over the midwife when she's in the room, and in fact almost dismiss her to speak to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because we think, like you said, one is better than the other.
No special roles.
Yeah. Okay, about midwife-led care, as you said, through the journey, through pregnancy, even before, midwives play a crucial role, and they are part of the team through antenatal, in risk assessment, follow-up, and ensuring that at least those high-risk mothers are identified early and maybe referred to a doctor. Maybe if it's at lower level, maybe referred to the next level of care. But they are generally part of the system, even through labor. They also play a role. So basically, about risk identification and engagement through this health education and also engagement through the antenatal journey, since it's not able for mothers to access only doctors. We have so many mothers out there, so the midwives really play a critical role, and they must be on board at every stage during this antenatal journey.
Okay, so we have two questions that I'd give, but I'm also told we have somebody who would like to give us review, a satisfied user of STOPES. Yeah, Dr. Karo, it's not only you who can say nice things. So as we prepare my person to come closer, these two questions came also still from Zoom. One, I feel like I know what Dr. Chako is going to say. Is chogero medically accepted? And the second says, am I allowed to do light exercise? This one is for the first trimester, though. This one was specific. Am I allowed to do light exercise in my first trimester? But I guess you can help the mothers and speak about exercise in general, not just the first trimester. Yeah, so chogero, is it the same as the
herbalist expert? Chogero is a different mix now. It's after the baby is born. There's a set of herbs in which they
immerse the baby.
They immerse the baby, and they say all sorts of nice things. Is that the one
for blessings?
Blessings, looking nice, and
yeah.
all of those things. and I have to appreciate the mothers that the pressure is immense, because in our culture, having a baby is not a one man's job. It's the entire community. So you have your baby, the auntie, the uncle, the mother-in-law, they all come, and they come with all of these.
And do you realize you're hands off at that point? Everyone is...
Yes, actually this chogero is usually superintended by the grandmothers. So it's really difficult. I can appreciate the conundrum in which, again, as Dr. Andrew would say, we don't know the contents of chogero, so we cannot speak for it. But so
the question was, is it medically accepted? The answer would be no. Yeah.
We don't know.
Is it accepted generally? I think that's a preference now, because also Dr. Andrew and Dr. Ko cannot come into your homes to make the decisions for you, or stop something or start something. Because I remember even my doctor had opinions on certain things, but said at the end of the day, you and your husband with your own traditions and your own life will decide where we are not. We're just giving you our advice, scientific based, of course, like you mentioned, and then you make an informed decision. Exercise, first trimester or otherwise?
Generally, light exercise is accepted through pregnancy. We encourage that mothers should be physically active.
Move a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember as a C-section mom, actually even before, because first of all I was induced and I was told just keep walking around. And so even before they told me walking, it sounds like nothing, but it's actually exercise. Just keep walking around. But even as a C-section mom, I was told just keep walking. And I thank God for that, because my healing was very quick. I didn't have any complications, because even with the pain, my healing was so. I think light exercise. I didn't have any complications. Also, I need to tell mothers that I used to be very good with exercise. When I got pregnant, something happens to your body. Something happens to your morale. So don't beat yourself up if you can't exercise. But also it's because we look at it as exercise, like you have to go to the gym and I don't know, lift weights that will make you, as we call it, snap back. But I think the pressure, don't do that. Walk around, carry a few things around, be busy. Yeah. So don't be what our aunties tell us, sit, relax. Porridge. No. So I love our aunties, but it's a good thing to be taken care of, but even your doctor will tell you, if you want to recover, if you want to get your body in good shape, we're not here to advocate for abs and serious six-pack, but a healthy body. And I'll tell you from experience that I was told, just, go and pick the cup for yourself. Small things. Go and carry that bag from there and bring it here. So pregnancy is not a disability. I guess women need to know that, yeah? So we do have someone who would like to join. Hi! We need to figure out if she can come so that we're able to see her. Are the cameras able to turn to her?
I think she can.
Okay, Dr. Andrew will surrender his seat.
Such a gentleman.
Such a gentleman, I tell you. Thank you so much. So, How are you? Please come. You're a mom, hey?
Yeah. Two.
Mom of two. Sorry, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Joanna Kabanda Kahaya.
Joanna.
Nice to meet you.
Joanna, you've been to Mary Stopes
I
Hospital.
had a baby here in end of July.
Oh, recently?
Yeah,
Well,
2 months.
I was going to say, these are people lightly exercised. These are the ones she lightly exercised. What was your experience? Well, this is because the hospital is also new, so I'm
It's new,
guessing. Yeah.
but I knew Dr. Susan before. When I birthed my first child, that's when I met her.
Ah, right.
And then the second time, I was in between hospitals.
Yeah.
So as I kept going to her, she told me about this place.
Yes.
And honestly, I wasn't open to new things, but
You're like many of us.
so I go check out the facility, and that's the first thing that sold
But you
me.
were pregnant at this
Yeah,
point.
I was like 7 months pregnant.
Whoa.
So now I come here, check it out, and I knew that this is where I wanted based on what it looked like.
Okay.
And then obviously the doctor I was seeing was they're affiliated to this place, or even the in-house doctors I was seeing. So what pushed me here the first time was the setup.
Right.
Because you know how hospitals can be disorganized.
Also smell like
And
hospitals.
clean. They smell like
just tell the
hospitals.
truth. This is a safe environment. Sometimes they smell like a
A
hospital.
hospital.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I checked out the premise and I liked it. And then
Right.
Dr. Susan has taken care of me for a while.
Wow.
So as I get to meet and talk to other guys, we talk.
Yeah.
So I get more assurance about where I am. And the pregnancy was a bit rough. But I had them on my phone. I had them whenever I would call any worry. To the point where they told me, Joanna, rest. You're fine. You're fine. So that's how I ended up here.
Right.
Then the day I came here fetal heart rate was not good at all. So I come in and we had already spoken about the way to go about anything. So I was already open to a C-section because it would be my second. I get here panicking, sweating bullets. I got here and the doctors first calmed me down. They're like, you know what? First breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe, relax, let's talk. This is how we are looking. This is the best option. But most importantly, like, you have to trust us. You have to let us, because we've been talking, yeah? So now my worries are a bit, the pressure is a bit down, because now I know I can talk to anyone whenever I want to. Whenever I need help, whenever I feel like something is off, I feel something broke, I had communication, so I had assurance throughout the entire time. Then when I got here, I was babied. I was taken
First of
care
all,
of.
I think she's just sold everyone to it, because you know how women. But first of all, she said she came here at 7 months. I was like, I made the worst decisions at 7 months pregnant, because everything is just annoying. Every color is annoying. Everyone breathing is annoying. So for you to actually like something at 7 months, that was not a lie.
I had been looking. So when I found this, it suited me.
Yeah.
And my husband was okay with it. Then they held my hand throughout the entire thing while I was panicking. And you know, once you panic, common sense is out.
Of course,
Like,
of course.
you have nothing. So they kept on, they continued to talk to me the entire time. I had a C-section, and there was an hour wouldn't pass without someone two people checking on me. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Oh, can I sleep? Are you okay? Like, they took care of me very, very well. Any other question I had, they would reassure me, okay, this is how it's looking. This is not good. This is good. How do you feel? What do you want? Discuss with your husband. Discuss with whoever is taking care of you. Then you come to us and tell us, this is what I want. And they gave me that.
Do you ever feel like, because this is your second baby,
Yeah.
you know how midwives or doctors will just dismiss us as, you're over, eh?
Yeah.
But don't you feel like it's actually valuable when we are allowed to ask?
Yes. No, even
every
walking
single question?
I told them, please forgive me, I might give you guys a headache. They're like, no, like, I have so many questions. If I stub my toe, I'm going to ask if my baby is okay. You get? So I was worried about everything. But again, my hand was held. So the fact that I could answer questions and no one was rolling their eyes,
Very crucial.
yeah,
Very
it was
crucial.
very
They talk
reassuring.
about the importance of after the baby, because you know when you're pregnant, is the baby? Nobody, people ask about you afterwards. Is the baby
No
fine?
one asks about
Is the
me.
baby okay? Then when the baby is here, everybody's like, the baby is so cute. Okay, you're fine. The baby is so cute. But I've been told about the aftercare
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
How was it? Were you babied now on another level?
That's when the babying started.
Really?
Yes.
So you were
Fresh
not
from
even
that theater,
They're like,
everyone
it's okay,
just,
it's okay.
don't worry. Does this hurt? Don't worry about it. We have this, we have
Yeah.
that. What do you need? In case of anything, you know who to call, you know
Yeah.
who to ask. I didn't even call anyone because they were there.
Right.
So I didn't have any issues in terms of lacking anything
Right.
after.
Wow. Okay, so as Mary Stopes Hospital will launch officially, I know you're saying but she has already been here. Yeah, officially now, where you can walk in speaking any language. What would you say to somebody who's watching about, why they should even make a choice to pick Mary
Why they
Stopes?
should be here. There is the only reason as to why someone should pick a hospital, in my opinion, is the entire process and after. Yeah, how you're treated during that entire time. Yeah. Now, if you have someone who will check on you, every other time, what is your worry? How are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling like this. Can I see you? If you're feeling like that, you have someone who you ask questions and they give you the truth.
Yeah.
If they can give you the real, and then even after you've had a baby, they continue to take care of you, come back, post-op 6 weeks, I was here, and still, baby. they held me like I was the child that I had birthed. And that was very reassuring, because you're panicking, you can't think, you're worried, your head is everywhere. And it's very important to have someone who can tell you, you know what, this. It was special that we prayed before my C-section.
Oh yeah,
With
that
the
one
doctor,
that
like
one I'll
we held
say.
hands
Even my
and
doctor,
we
that
prayed.
one warned me
Yeah.
on that kawan.
Yeah.
First of all, they had gospel music. I
Yeah.
forgot I was going to slap someone. You know how when you're in
Yeah.
that mix, you're like, who should get a slap? Husband, doctor?
Mm.
But sometimes there are those little shocks.
Yeah.
For me, also, my doctor did that, so that was a real shock. So they prayed.
Yeah,
Did you
they
ask
prayed.
them, or did they
No,
just?
they didn't.
Okay.
They did
But that's
not.
fantastic. So thank you so much, Joanna, for
You're
your
welcome.
sharing openly your experience. And you could tell it was an honest experience, because I'm telling you, pregnant women, we are not easy, you people. Now I can say that. But when I was pregnant, I was easy, I was fantastic, I was a kind person. But I know we're already 16 minutes into 4 o'clock. We're going to wind up, but you see, I told you it was not going to be like any other webinar. I told you. So, Dr. Carol, perhaps as we wrap up, as we gauge, tomorrow is a big day. Safe Motherhood internationally. You're opening Mary Stopes Hospital officially, and also to know that people are saying, what do you mean open? These people have been here. You have been here. Years and years of delivering sexual and reproductive health information. What you are is telling women they have a choice, they can think, they can hear, they can do. Not just women, of course, we said it's and men. But as you wrap up for us, the services we can expect, still the reach you have as Mary Stopes, that's just beyond this hospital as well. Yes.
Thank you, Flavia. So Mary Stopes, as Flavia has said, has been here for more than 30 years, delivering high-quality sexual and reproductive health services to men and women. For a long time, our focus has been on contraception. Everywhere you go, every district you go, you find Mary Stopes of some form. Either it's a clinic, or it is one of our trucks going to reach, the unreachable, the most poor. It will be some of our products on your pharmacy shelf. It will be our partners, the Blue Star social franchise. So we've been around for a long time. And we've done a lot of work on maternity as well, but mainly in a capacity building capacity. So we work with Ministry of Health in southwestern Uganda, eastern Uganda, right now in West Nile, building capacity for high quality maternity services. But our clients have spoken, and they have spoken for a while, and we have had, and they have said, guys, you give us family planning, you give us all of this information, when we want to have babies, you send us somewhere else. So we have listened to our client. And part of this is about the evolution of the STOPES brand. We're evolving from just being a family planning brand to being a brand that cares for the entire woman, from her menarche all the way to menopause. So we're here to serve you. We've been here for a while, and we continue to promise the best quality of service centered on you, our client. Safety, clinical quality is paramount. Confidentiality, all your secrets are safe with STOPES, and we look forward to welcoming you at the STOPES Hospital at Forest Mall.
So I would have said we officially launched, but no, that's for tomorrow. We're not invited tomorrow. Are we invited virtually? I'm getting clarity for you. Hey. Virtually, you'll be invited. So we should stay on the STOPES, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter as well. Just stick around. If they even cut cake, just pretend you're also eating cake and then take part in this. It's a wrap. Thank you so much, Dr. Carol, for inviting. This is literally your home, actually.
Yes.
We're the ones. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you, Joanna, for sharing your thoughts. Dr. Chako is still here with us. I thought as we wrap, as everybody closes off, we'll just do one. That campaign picture? We do one beautiful picture to show. We need our masks on because the social. Should we mask or not mask? For killing of doubt, we're going to have the cameras off so that no one sees that picture, whether it had masks or not. No, we wouldn't do that. But we're just going to have one slightly socially distanced full picture, if that can be done and arranged as the cameras get to roll off. And thank you so much for everyone who's been with us. If you're catching this after it has aired, what a beautiful discussion we've had on YouTube, on Zoom. We're also on Facebook. So wherever you're watching us right now after the conversation, and you still have a few questions to ask, STOPES is at Lugogo Bypass, the hospital. But there's STOPES clinic everywhere around the country, and you can ask. They actually have a call center. The number is not right, but I'm guessing we can put it on these pages wherever you're watching us from. They'll be right there in the caption or in the comment section, so you can be able to call the call center. And like Joanna asked, anything. My back is aching. Will I be able to have children? By the way, ask. My head hurts. Dr. Chakura said headaches. Is this the kind of headache he meant? There's no such thing as too many questions. There's no such thing as you're being too careful. Safe motherhood is a role not just for the mother, as you hear it in Safe Motherhood. It's for all of us. Your husband, your spouse, your partner, however you've chosen to relation, should not hamper how you parent. Please remember that. Guys, from STOPES, what do they say? You deserve exceptional healthcare. Bye.
abato school fees okusoma n'ebitabo olusi tebalina n'ekyokulya okukifuna bakuba yatetenkanya yayiya ebensulako n'ebyokulya omukyala